Hi, Happy New Year. I'm Colleen Bigger, Director of the Groundbreakers, and I wanted to thank you for taking a minute to listen in today. A little bit about me, if we haven't met personally. I have been with Trades of Hope for a little over 3 years. I started in 2012, and at that time there was about 300 CEs. Since then, I traveled to Haiti and to Costa Rica, both which were amazing experiences. And then a year ago, last fall in 2014, I achieved director level. On a personal note, I have 4 children. I'm married. I have 4 kids, ranging in age from 13 to 21. I have 3 boys, and then we adopted our daughter 7 years ago. She's 13 now. So anyway, I went to a Trades of Hope party about 3 years ago, like I mentioned, and was sold pretty quickly. Reason being that I was really looking for something that I could do for my daughter that didn't feel like charity, but that would honor her parents, her birth parents, and honor her. And this spoke to me immediately. It's a way to empower people like her parents to keep their children and raise them themselves. And I really wanted to become a part of this, and hopefully someday soon my daughter will join me. Many of you know that in the last 6 months I've been dealing with breast cancer. I'm all finished with chemo. I have surgery tomorrow, and after that I will have radiation. And the timing was such, it was perfect. I call it God's timing, that in between my surgery and radiation, I will be attending retreat. I really feel strongly about retreat. It's probably one of the best things you can do for your business. Well, if you take a look at our numbers, of the 9 people that went to retreat last year, 7 of them were in the top 10 for the Groundbreakers team. And the other 2 that are in the top 10, well, they just hadn't joined yet, so they didn't make retreat last year. So I really encourage you to think about this for the upcoming year, and maybe plan that some of the money that you make this year will be set aside to attend retreat next year, because I really want to see you there. It's so much fun. I can't even tell you. It's inspiring. It's fun. If you can imagine yourself in a room full of people that are different than you, but in many ways just like you, it's just the greatest experience. Just in the way of some general business for this coming year, we're going to have meetings once a month. In Iowa, it's going to be the first Sunday of each month. For those of you that are not in Iowa, I'll be conducting meetings on any meeting on the first Monday of each month, except for this month because tomorrow I have surgery. So that'll be January 11th. And then we also have a leadership group, and that is a group of people that have 2 or more CEs that they have underneath them, and it's an opportunity for us to kind of talk and plan for the year. So I would encourage any of you that are interested in being part of a team, the leadership team, to work on growing your team, and you can be a part of that as too. I would love to have you there. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention is the bonus bucks program that I have, because I believe so strongly that retreat is such an important thing. Throughout the year, I will award bonus bucks, which will go towards your retreat for things like the top salesperson, for consistent sales. So if you're not somebody that plans on bringing in $3,000 a month, but each month you can have 1 or 2 parties and be consistent, then I want to reward that as well, because I find that extremely important for your success. Anyway, things like that I'll be rewarding bonus bucks for, because I want you to come to retreat. This will help lower the price of retreat for you. So keep that in mind as well. Let's see. The other thing is the 882 plan. There's some good training in the back office, so please familiarize yourself with what that is going to be for this upcoming year. If you have been with the company this past year, of course, it won't apply to you, but it will apply to anybody you bring on in the coming year. Okay. So I guess I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that I've been thinking about. About 30 years ago, my then fiance, my husband, now Mike, but then fiance, and I went to the pound and got a dog, a puppy. We thought it would be good preparation for kind of what it might be like to be a parent someday. So a good warm up. And I think that it was that. You know, it caused us to be responsible for another critter or being, and it was hard, but of course we all know that having children is harder. Example of that, 2 of my kiddos, my first 2 sons, one at birth and one at 9 months, encountered life-threatening situations, and we quickly learned how to navigate the medical field and ask questions and really get to the bottom of what was going on with each of them, 2 different things. And I believe that that prepared us then for many years later when we would adopt our daughter from China for all of her medical needs. So what we went through with our boys was very hard, and what we went through with my daughter was hard, very hard, but it prepared us. We were prepared for what would come for her because of what had happened in the past. When I joined Trades of Hope, I was really excited about the opportunity to re-enter the working world and really contribute in a way that I felt I hadn't been able to do before, just as a stay-at-home mom. Not that that isn't an amazing job, but I was looking for something a little bit more because my kiddos were growing up, and I knew that that time was coming where pretty soon I'll have an empty nest, and I needed something to do for me. So anyway, I joined with Trades of Hope, but one thing I learned, direct sales was hard. It was really hard because nobody had heard of Trades of Hope, and nobody had heard of Fair Trade, at least not the people that I knew. And so picking up the phone and calling and convincing people that this was a good thing and to please host a party, that was hard. Especially, believe it or not, I didn't like direct sales before I joined Trades of Hope, and I kind of didn't go to parties. My thoughts on that have changed completely since then. I have a very big appreciation for direct sales, but direct sales was hard for me. But a trip to Haiti kind of changed the way I thought about things. My eyes were open to the kind of suffering that goes on in the world. I knew that it existed, but there's something about seeing it firsthand that really changes you. I met women that had overcome huge obstacles, whether it be abuse or an unplanned pregnancy, hurricane, you know, just life-threatening kind of situations. These were things that I couldn't really imagine before, but I saw firsthand. And I really wondered, faced with those circumstances, if I could be as strong as some of those women would be. It had to be for their children. So I came home with kind of a new conviction. I would need to set my fears aside and my dislike for direct sales and go at it. And it was still hard, but bit by bit, phone call by phone call, party by party, people, my friends, my circles began to understand what I was doing. And the more parties I did, the better I got at telling stories. And at that point, I began to build a team. Last year, at age 49, the unthinkable happened for me. I discovered a lump, quite by accident. I had no family history. People that I confided in reassured me it was probably just a cyst, but it wasn't. It was stage 2B breast cancer. And when you get that message, you go through all the emotions you think you would. Would I be able to be strong enough to tolerate the treatment? What would the treatment do to me? Am I going to survive this? Is this cancer going to kill me? These were all things that went through my mind. My mom had just died from cancer 5 years ago, so that whole battle was fresh in my mind. But very quickly, for my kiddos, I kind of moved into warrior mode. My family and faith were a huge part of that, but I would tell you that the women that I've met down in Haiti and in Costa Rica as well, they are the ones that I drew my strength from. Knowing what they had been through, I knew I could do this. So all the time that I thought I was doing something with 4 Trades of Hope, for our artisans, all this time they have been doing something for me. They were making me a stronger person, a stronger woman than I realized I even was. You have been called to Trades of Hope, probably for reasons that look much different than mine, but they're all good reasons, amazing reasons, and I'm glad that you're here. You may have found that this business is hard. You really have to put yourself out there. You have to risk putting your reputation on the line. You have to sell things. You have to call people. You have to ask, and you have to deal with rejection. You have to make yourself vulnerable. You have to share your why, and that is personal. You may fear that people are judging you. Direct sales is hard. But you know what? Breast cancer is harder. But doing that hard prepared me for harder. Taking care of a puppy, that was hard. Raising children is harder. Caring for my sons when they were sick was really hard. Bringing my daughter home from China was harder. But that prepared me for, but my son's illnesses prepared me for what was going to be harder. Breast cancer is hard. But you know what? Being a woman in a developing country with breast cancer or any kind of illness, that's harder. So when things got unbearable, when I was in pain, I thought of our artisans. I had the best medical care, a family to support me, friends that brought food. I had a couch to lay on, a warm blanket to put over me, a warm house to recover in, and medical care. And the women that we work with, they don't have most of those options. So, relatively speaking, cancer in America isn't as hard as what it can be in other places, like Haiti. So, relatively speaking, making phone calls, they're easy. In the grand scheme of things, you can do this, and I can do this, and we can all do this for these artisans. I recently read this quote. I'm going to tell it to you. Don't wait for courage to show up before you do what's important. The more you do, the more courage you'll have, especially when the doing is on the fringes of your comfort zone. So what's courage for you? Is it talking to the cashier at the grocery store? Is it asking to leave the catalog at the dentist's office? Is it picking up the phone and calling someone? You don't have to visit Haiti to know that the courage our artisans must have to overcome is much more difficult than what we have to do, what we have to face on a daily basis. You have the artisans counting on you. And so if for no other reasons, you do it for the artisans. You go out of your comfort zone and do what's hard for the artisans. So in 2015, I was really only able to work 6 of the 12 months. But I had worked hard enough over the past 3 years that the momentum carried me and allowed me to bless my family with a much needed vacation once my chemo was done. I can appreciate the dignity that our artisans must feel by being able to put a roof over their families' heads. Since for the first time in a really long time, I was able to pay for something wonderful for our family all by myself. So what do you dream of? What do you hope for your family? You are fully equipped to build your own team, to earn money for your family and change the world at the same time. I can't wait to see what 2016 brings for all of you. I know you can do it.